What is going on, DCA Adventure? I am your host, Crypto McCall, and I got some awesome people with me today. Of course, as you saw by the title and the cool little intro clip, talking about the Open Application Network. So, guys, thank you, Yashnik, for coming on, as well as Joseph from the Owen community. I appreciate you for coming on. And of course, we all know Yashnik. Good old Yashnik. So thanks, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. I thank you for helping facilitate this and get this rolling up. So welcome, guys. What is up? How's it going?
Thank you. It's going great.
Going great.
Thank you.
Getting festive over there, Yashnik, with your
Jackass.
Cool little...
Jackass.
Oh, that's what you're gonna call him.
Well, yeah. His name's Jackass. It's an old thing.
Oh, okay.
Used to be at work, COVID.
Poor Frosty.
Yeah.
He didn't do no harm.
Oh, well, he's a good
guy. So what is going on, guys? Everybody in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Of course, everybody else will be rolling in here rather shortly since notifications are coming in. OBS decided to crash this morning, or just now. So I don't know what's up with that. Did happen yesterday too. So don't know. Got to figure that out. FA nonetheless. So of course, guys, we're talking about the love, which we've all done multiple poker tournaments over, which is Aeon for the Open Application Network, because that is a community-driven project, and we are all about the community here. So we are always facilitating those events and love facilitating those events because it's fun. It's community fun, man. It's like set those whole days aside just for those specific events, just to hang out with a bunch of friends. So
Always a good time.
Oh man, they're always a blast. I appreciate it.
I haven't been doing too great in the last few ones as far as my final
Me neither. To be honest.
Yeah, I've done a little better every time, but I'm still not like great at poker. But I like to focus on the stream, so it makes it difficult. It's like an extra level of hardness. It's like what's it called, playing hard mode. Enabling hard mode when you have a kid playing a game in your lap with a kid in your lap. It's playing hard mode because they're gonna reach for that controller. So are you good enough to jerk your hand forward while playing the game and control a baby at the same time? Hard mode. Love it. Oh Yashnik. Oh, of course. Yashnik's always welcome with his pretty face. So, tell us a little bit about the community-driven Open Application Network, Joseph. What's up?
Sure. Well, there's a few things to talk about, and I'm gonna share my screen because
more than welcome.
Got a few pages we can take a look at. So just earlier today, and Newsfeed put out December updates, and Newsfeed on Twitter is @Aeon Newsfeed. Any updates, news, anything like that gets pushed to this Twitter channel. So if you're interested in Aeon in the Open Application Network and you haven't followed this account yet, please do, because that's where you're going to hear first about any new information, any updates, anything like that. But today,
all those links are down below as well, guys. So if you need to follow,
gets pushed to this Twitter.
You can get them down in the description below, but I will be posting them in the chat as well. So
yeah,
just letting y'all know.
So we posted December updates. We've been doing updates on kind of a monthly basis recently, just to get information out to folks about what's new, what's going on. The one big milestone that the network hit recently is passing over 10 million blocks. And on the main net, so you can see we're at 10,570,000 plus blocks on the network. And you may know that it's a mining and staking network. What some folks may not know is that it alternates between them. So every other block is a mining block, and then every other block beyond that is a staking block. Right. So the network is split for block production 50-50, miners and stakers working together to keep the chain going.
On a 10-second block
right.
Time.
Every 10 seconds, there's a new block added to the network, and it alternates staker, miner, right. Staker, miner. And each of those blocks carries about a 4.5 Aeon block reward, as you can see here, plus whatever the transaction fee payouts would be for any transactions included in that block. But the block reward itself is the new Aeon coming into the system. So there is some inflation, which we'll talk about. But this unity interleave consensus mechanism, which does this alternating proof of stake, proof of work, proof of stake, proof of work, has been going on for now over 2 years. And it's been going great. We've been, as we are currently, I pulled the dashboard back up here. The goal is a 10-second block time. We're very close on that with the most recent blocks. You could even, in some of the analytics, look at proof of stake, proof of work block times. This is all at mainnet.theoan.com. And again, you can see there's some variance depending on difficulty adjustments, but these are the proof of stake block times. These are the proof of work block times. It's all pretty consistent. Some blocks come a little bit quicker, some come a little bit slower, but it's averaged out at 10 seconds per block pretty well.
Just to intertwine there for a second.
Sure.
Before Aeon used to be in ERC20, the Aeon mainnet came out in end of May of 2018. Mm-hmm. Became their own blockchain, right? And I believe Unity, when they introduced staking as a hybrid, a true hybrid consensus, came out in November 2019 or 2020? 19?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. November of 19, so it's been proof of stake and proof of work for over 2 years now. And, as you can see live, it's been going well and going strong. With each really of those blocks,
which is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, half of those blocks are created by stakers. Currently, 19% of the total Aeon supply is currently staked. And folks that are staking are earning about 7.5% annual rate of return. So going back to the dashboard here. Oops. Oop. Sorry. So you can see right on the front page of the dashboard, it gives you the percent of the network staked. If you're looking for the annual rate of return, there is a tool that was released this year called Aeon Watch, which not only gives you staking rate of return, which right now is about 7.53%, it also gives you stats on total supply, total amount burned, total amount staked, burn rates, inflation rates, and I'll pick apart some of those numbers as we're talking. But given the amount staked, that determines what the rate of return is. So the more that's staked, that rate of return gets adjusted down, but it's dynamic. If everyone suddenly pulled all their stake, the rate of return would jump up high. If all of a sudden, 100 million AN got staked, the rate of return would drop accordingly. Because ultimately, there's 4.5 AN going as block rewards to stakers every other block, every 10 seconds. So this is a set figure on an annual basis, right? It's always going to be about 4.5 AM per block. It's always going to be about 10 seconds per block. You can do the math on that, and that's the amount of new AN entering the total supply each year. That gets shared among all the stakers that are out there. So if there's more stakers, it's got to be split among more people. Long story short. And of course, half of the blocks are going to miners. So half of those rewards are going to folks mining on the network, whereas the other half gets split among the stakers mining on, or excuse me, the stakers who've delegated their AN to pools. So currently, like I said, it's close to 19% that are currently staked. And those folks are earning 7.5% annual rate of return on whatever they have delegated.
Right. Which is really good, by the way. I mean, everybody claims, in like buffs over like Celsius and things like that, and staking like USDC or USDT, staking stable coins, and the most you're gonna get for that is like maybe 9 to 10%, right? And then Bitcoin and other things like that, 2, 3, which is still good, still more than you would get other places, but then you get like Aeon that's really good for something that's not a stable coin, because that's what most higher annual returns is, like a stable coin. So it means something,
just want
in my opinion.
100% for sure. Just to answer your question, Fox Protocol Mining, what's up, buddy? What is the typical hardware used by miners to support the network? It's very similar to Ethereum, basically with how NVIDIA is best, and it's the same for Aeon.
DAG size is
but
3 gigabytes.
The DAG size, exactly, the DAG
2
size is the major difference. Whereas you can throw some 10, 50 cards on there, it'll still work.
Yep.
Not a problem on Aeon.
Yeah, I think the DAG size is 3 gigs, if I'm not mistaken. So all your 4 gig cards are good. I think even 3 gig cards are safe still.
Even 2 gig cards are good.
Even 2 gig cards? Oh, so you're safe even with like a legit 1050, like you said.
Exactly.
1050 Ti, because the Ti would be 4 gigs. Non-Ti would be 2. So
they both work.
Lower in hardware. Hardware's just kind of sitting around. But yeah, Equihash.
Anyways, sorry, Joseph.
110.
No. And for the folks that are mining, you can mine Aeon and then stake that Aeon that you've mined to compound on your returns and take advantage of this 7.5% rate of return that we've got.
You can do both.
There's a couple ways.
Aeonpool.tech.
That's right.
There's a couple ways that
I would think a lot of our miners actually do that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm also sure that's the case. Now, you can do staking through a couple of different interfaces. One is the web wallet, which is my-aeon.theoan.com. And there's also staking.theoan.com. The staking.theoan.com was the original staking website. My-aeon.theoan.com is something newer that also integrates the Explorer, so you can look up an address, see the transactions that are going on in there. So it's a little more dynamic as far as the information that you can get. Whereas with staking.theoan.com, you can just manage your staking. Right. You can just manage your delegations.
So if you're a miner and a staker, you would want to use the my-aeon.theoan.com. So that way you could view both aspects of your wallet, or what you are doing, staking and mining.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more you can do with the
good.
My
That's good.
Aeon wallet.
It's more intuitive too, as well.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's good to see this kind of things get so people
And it
having to go to like
supports-
multiple places. People don't want to do that.
Yeah, and Aeon supported on Ledger.
Mhm.
It works differently. It's not embedded into Ledger Live or anything, but
Right.
you can still manage it through Ledger both ways. Well, with the My Aeon has Ledger support. The staking interface is just an interface, right?
Right.
That has Ledger support too.
Oh yes, it does. You're right. I haven't used it in so long,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. It has everything too.
But like you touched on, it's a backup. So if for some reason it seems like the website for My Aeon isn't working, you can always just go to staking.theoan.com and still be able to manage your stake.
Right.
All of this is accessing the same ledger, so it's just a different interface that you can use.
It's pulling from both ledgers into one website instead of having two websites. It's just more efficient.
And I myself definitely prefer the My Aeon websites. You can do anything that you need to do with your Aeon through that website.
Much cleaner.
Look at your transaction history, transfer Aeon, manage your staking, you name it. The staking.theoan.com is, like I said, just restricted to whatever staking management you need to do: delegations, undelegations, transfers, withdrawals, all of that sort of thing. But there's some duplicity just to have that backup. If one of the websites isn't working for you, try the other one. So you've got options. Now,
Yes way, Goblin.
See, I don't have the chat open, so if you do notice anything in the chat, any questions,
I'll
speak it up.
Same here. I got both open up, so it's good.
Cool. So with kind of that background in mind, supply wise, as I mentioned, we're currently at an inflation rate of about 2.84%. This is from the 4.5 roughly Aeon per block every 10 seconds that get awarded to the staker or miner that forges the next block to the chain. And that inflation rate goes down over time. So, for example, just to use real easy, quick numbers, let's say it was, 10 Aeon every day that get added to the supply. On day one, you're going to have 1,000,000% essentially with the 10 Aeon getting added to the supply. And then you've already got 10 Aeon in the circulating supply. The next day, you have another 10 Aeon. Well, that's a 100% inflation rate. The next day, you've got 20 Aeon in the circulating supply. You add 10 to that, well, that's a 50% inflation rate. As time goes on, the inflation rate keeps going down. And this inflation rate of 2.84% is going to continue going down gradually over time because the amount of Aeon entering the circulating supply and the total supply is at a constant per year. Because again, it's 4.5 Aeon every 10 seconds.
Right.
So that inflation rate is slowly going to go down over time as the supply increases, but the amount of Aeon entering the system stays the same.
Right.
If you look at Ethereum's model, it's very, very similar. But Aeon's doing it now.
Victor Jones has a question. Says, are there any projects building on Aeon?
We'll get to that after.
Cool. Says, and who are the main devs contributing to code? It's community driven, so I mean,
we'll get to that after.
Yeah.
We're leading up to it. We're leading up to the development opportunities. I just wanted to spend a little time to give an overview of what the heck the mainnet's about, the blockchain, and the supply circumstances.
But there is a mainnet.
There is a mainnet. When mainnets? When mainnets? The answer to that is 3 years ago. This has been going for a while now.
It's almost, well, 3.5, almost 4 years.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But the inflation rates, the 4.5 AN per block every 10 seconds, that does get mitigated a little bit. There's been changes to that over time, and I'm not going to go into extreme detail on this, but prior to November of 2020, the inflation rate was much higher, and the reason for that was there was a token release schedule that's way back at the beginning of the project. There were tokens locked up for initial investors, which included not just private folks, but also folks that participated in the public pre-sale. And there was an amount of AN being distributed to these folks on a monthly basis for a period of 3 years. And the article that I have linked here goes into explicit detail on all of that. And I'll leave it to you folks to give it a read. But as of November of 2020, the token release schedule is no longer. The only new AN entering the circulating and total supply are block rewards, those 4.5 AN per block. Like I said, we're at 2.84% inflation. To mitigate that, AN is also being burned. So through this link here, you can see that as of today, over 3 million AN has been burned. And just to kind of explain why that is, currently the staking security is being supplemented by the Open Foundation. They are not, they never wanted to be profiting off of the additional staking security that they've provided to the network. So instead of holding on to that AN, they are just burning it. So any AN that the Open Foundation pools are earning gets burned here, and it's on roughly a weekly basis. You can see that there are these transfers in of 1.2 thousand,
Right.
15 point whatever thousand, and that's done on a regular basis. And
You can
at
actually
this
watch
point,
the growing clock on Aeon Watch too. It's constantly ticking, which is fun to watch.
Yeah, so if you're going to stick your array on and you go on whatever interface you want to use, don't choose one of the 3 open application network pools, because they state it's 100% fee for a reason.
Yeah, you will not earn any rewards by staking to the foundation pools.
Exactly.
All of the rewards earned get burned, which is great for all of the AN holders out there because it means less inflation. But it doesn't do you personally any good.
No, you're just going to help secure the network without reward.
Right. You don't gain a
cent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be good for your profits.
It's not profitable for you to do that. It's good for you to do that because it does help the network. But if you're looking for like a profit to ROI to your stake, that's not the way to do
it. Right. And AN Watch calculates out what the burn rate is. And if you take the inflation rates and subtract the burn rates, your true inflation is closer to about just 2%. So 2.84 minus the 8.4 burn rates. So 2% is pretty competitive as far as inflation rates go. I know Ethereum's made a lot of changes to their block production and fee burning and so on. But prior to that, their inflation rate was closer to, I think, 3%. And right now, Bitcoin's inflation rate, don't quote me on this, but I think is about 1.6 or 1.7%. So this is pretty close to in line with those major players. as far as inflation goes.
Right.
And the reason there's inflation is to incentivize miners and stakers to secure the network. So, even though there's some new supply coming in every 10 seconds, the reason for that is because we want folks to contribute their hash power and contribute their stake power to the network to keep it secure, make sure that we're not subject to any attacks based on mining or staking. Ultimately, it would have to be on both fronts due to the blocks being produced every other one: proof of work, proof of stake, proof of work, proof of stake.
Right.
Which
So
is, it would be almost, well, it's really, really hard to do.
it would
It's
be
really hard to do on a proof of work coin, period. Imagine on a hybrid consensus, which a true hybrid consensus, people say, there's hybrid consensus algorithms out there. They're not true hybrids.
Right.
Even
Right.
Maker, or what is it? I think it's Maker.
Mm-hmm. Maker DAO.
When they first started, they're not a truly, well, they are, but they're not
They are a hybrid,
as
but they're not straight 50-50. It's not evenly produced.
exactly.
Even Flux is a good example. They have nodes and stuff like that, which earn rewards versus the mining chain, which earns rewards, but they're not equal. So I
That's
mean,
not
they
a
are.
true hybrid.
I mean, they are a hybrid, but they're not distributed evenly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and anyone looking to potentially attack the network has two fronts to do it on. You've got to do both proof of stake and proof of work 51
At the same time, and then deal with the
Simultaneously.
exchanges.
Right.
Yep.
So it's incredibly difficult, which I think was
It's nearly
a
impossible.
really smart
Actually.
decision. Really smart decision by the team to make that switch over and allow, still allow miners to participate and still allow them to be a critical component of the security of the network, while at the
Right.
same time integrating staking. And as I mentioned before, miners can compound their earnings by staking their earnings. So it's a win-win overall, for sure. So we pretty well covered
What up,
the inflation. And let's skip over a couple things. One thing I want to mention is that there are still folks out there who, even 3 years after the initial swap, still have AON ERC20s on the Ethereum network. Don't ask me how they've missed the token bridge that was introduced 3 years ago, or the swap process that was introduced about 6 months after that. But there are folks that still have AON ERC20s. Those ERC20s are novelty items at this point. They have no value. They cannot be traded. They are doing you no good sitting in your wallets unless you just want to have a memento of having bought an AON ERC20. I do have a wallet that has 2 AON ERC20s in it, just for me to look back on and say, I was there.
I was there.
That long ago.
Back in the day.
If you have a significant amount of AON ERC20s and you wish to get native AON that is tradable, that does have value, that you can use to pay transaction fees or stake or to deploy a smart contract, the time is now ticking. The clock has been set for the end of the swap. You must get your request in by January 31st. There's no reason you shouldn't do it today, but you have until January 31st to complete your swap. And there's a website that the foundation set up. It's swap.theoan.com. And they built it to be pretty easy to navigate. You put in the Ethereum address where you're holding your AN ERC20s. It'll check it. In fact, I'll just pull this up. It'll check it to tell you how much AN you have in the wallets. It'll tell you whether or not you've swapped it already, or whether there's a swap request pending, or whether you haven't made a swap request. And after you've checked your ERC20 wallets, then essentially you use my crypto or my Ether wallets to generate a signed message that contains your AON address to basically verify, yes, I control this Ethereum address. Here's where I want the AON sent to. And you will enter the signed. I'm sorry?
So you will pay gas for that. So you all are aware, if you are holding ERC20, you will pay gas fees.
That's true.
Yeah. So
should have done it 3 years ago, and it would have costed you a couple pennies.
Yeah. So, if you've only got 5 AON, you might just want to keep that as a commemorative.
Create an NFT,
But if you've got something significant, you sign a message containing your AON address using my crypto or my Ether wallets, and then you paste the signed message into this little box. You hit submit, and then within, I'm not sure what the turnaround time frame is. I would expect within a couple of weeks, maybe longer, maybe shorter, that balance will be added to whatever AON address that you submit in the signed message. So it's important.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's important if you are somehow, some way, are still holding on to AON ERC20s, that you complete this process as soon as possible.
Yeah, I would think, there's, 4.2 million AON on ERC20 still. I mean, those are probably people that are lost wallet, phrases or whatever, and they're just, it's done.
I'm not expecting there are a lot of people out there that are, seeing this video and saying, oh my gosh. If you've been following the project, there's been many announcements over the years on how to swap it, including the token bridge, which completed the swap of 95%, I think, of the total AON out there. And this was an autonomous bridge where, essentially you went to a website, you put in your information, you signed the message, and it literally would check the amount of AON you had, deposit that amount of AON into your AON address, and it was 100% autonomous. There was no human being, checking, okay, let me see this ETH address, check the balance. It was done completely autonomously. And that was open for a good 3-4 month period. So it was a great example of how the technology works. For some reason, not everyone used it. So if there are any stragglers out there, this is officially your warning. January 31st, you need to get this in. Otherwise, you've just got novelty items.
Very important.
Can't say I didn't warn you.
Well, I mean, you got 3 years plus of all these options, whereas other blockchains just cut you off, right? So anyway.
Well, I mean, at the time, 3 years ago, Binance participated in the swap, KuCoin participated in the swap. So if you held your AON on those exchanges, it was swap free automatically. There's really no excuse not to have your AON swapped at this point.
No, let's move on though.
I don't want anyone telling me I didn't warn them.
That's good.
That's all I'm saying. Obviously, part of the news was this great stream. So thank you, Crypto Mikkel, for hosting us.
I appreciate you.
The main reason we're here today, now probably coming to the end of the stream, is the AON Community Bounty Program. So pull up the Reddit thread is linked in the tweets, but I've got it pulled up here. So the idea here is, now that this is a community-driven project, the foundation has millions of Aeon that are otherwise unproductive. As we talked about, a bunch of it is going towards supplementing staking power on the network, but there's still a significant amount that's not spoken for. That's, we felt within the community should be used to advance the project and advance the protocol. So we did a bunch of talking and came up with the community bounty program. The idea being that we want to improve the network on behalf of Aeon holders. And there's kind of three target participants in the community bounty program. The first is someone who's got an idea, someone who is thinking to themselves, it would be great if the OAN had this tool, or had this smart contract functionality, or had, this kind of interface. If you have an idea, you can submit a proposal either directly into the Reddit thread, or there's a separate proposal form. It's a Google form that basically captures the same information. But what we're looking for is to really drill down on what your idea is and why you think it has value to the community. And, broad categories of what we're looking for are community growth and engagements. How do we get more people involved in Aeon? Core protocol
Aeon
improvements.
Pools, poker tournaments. Great example.
That is
first one.
A fantastic example of it, because it brings people in to have a good time, but also gets them exposure to the Aeon digital asset that is underlying the network, that is securing the network. If you have an idea for core protocol improvements, like if you think there's a way to change the block rewards that would make it better for miners or stakers, that can be proposed through this process. And if you have an idea for improvements to the existing wallets, dashboards, interfaces, all of that can also be proposed. But whatever the proposal is, we want it to be open source. We want it to be something that the whole community can benefit from and build upon. So if you've got a great idea for a business that you can build on Aeon, but you want to keep all the code secrets, this proposal process is not designed for that. You're going to have to secure your own funding, your own investors, because the community bounty program is all about community, all about advancing the protocol, advancing the community for everyone's benefit.
It's all about tooling and tooling,
and it all
basically
builds on itself.
Awesome, dude.
And so, with the proposals, we want to get an idea of what this is all getting at. What's the end goal here? Who is it that's getting the benefit for what you're proposing? Why it's a benefit? How we can measure that? If there's an example from another project, that would be helpful for us to look at, where we could say, okay, so-and-so project did this. They saw an increase of users of 50%, whatever the case may be. We want some data to take a look at, and even if not data, just an idea of what numbers you expect to change by implementing this proposal.
Right.
And then, so that's kind of the person with the idea, the first person, the first audience that this caters to. After a proposal has been made, we need folks to bid on it, someone with the skills and the know-how to complete that proposal, i.e. developers. So, a great idea by itself doesn't accomplish anything. We need builders to make it happen. So if you are a developer, if you have scripting skills, programming skills, take a look through the proposals that are there, and you can submit a bid to complete them, where you're basically going through and saying, okay, here's my portfolio work, so you know that I know what the heck I'm doing. Here's what I think it's going to take to complete this proposal. Here's how much time I think it'll be. And ultimately, here's what I'm going to bid on this. Here's the total amount I would charge to do this work. And those bids come in. We'll evaluate them to say, okay, is this reasonable? Are they asking for 20 million Aeon to make a new wallet? There's some oversight that gets worked in, and obviously if two folks have bid on the same proposal, we can kind of compare and contrast them and say, okay, this one wants 10,000 Aeon to do the same thing as this other person that wants 50,000 Aeon to do it. And we can kind of weigh our options and decide who to award the bid to.
And this is vetted by the community. It's no longer an identity, it's the community. I wanted to make that clear.
100% community.
Right. And then in order to connect these two dots between the people who have ideas and the people who can build, we have a bonus program where, number one, if you've submitted a proposal that ultimately gets completed, you can earn a bonus of 5% of the final bid amount. So if your proposal ends up being completed for a bid of 10,000 Aeon, you, for making that proposal, get 5% of 10,000 Aeon. Likewise, even if you don't make the proposal and don't do the building, you can get a bonus by connecting the two, by making a referral, by basically saying, if you know a developer or a developer team.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Right. If you know someone who does this kind of work, who can do this kind of work, and you say, hey, check out this proposal, you can earn some Aeon by completing it, you also get a 5% bonus. This is, not taking away from the developers doing the bidding. This is above and beyond what they've bid. So if they bid 10,000, 5% of that would be what, 5,000? No, I'm sorry, 500. I don't know. I'm doing the math
on 10,000. 5% would be 500. 100,000,
right.
Would be 5,000.
So, just for knowing someone or just for having an idea, you can earn Aeon through this process. And so this hopefully incentivizes folks to submit proposals, to make those connections between proposals and developers, and to get developers involved in completing some of these bids. So the bidding forms, like I said, are available through Google. They are linked in the Reddit thread. And I have a summary somewhere in here. Bear with me.
Or you can find the Reddit thread in the description below, guys. There's a whole section of open application network links, and it goes over the Aeon CBP, Aeon Watch, the staking wallet and Explorer, the dashboards, the wikis, the Twitter newsfeed, as well as the Telegram newsfeed. If you want news feed to go straight into your Telegram on your phone or application using your computer. You can do that as well if you don't use the twatters.
We've already got a bunch of proposals. I think there's 9. I was trying to find the thread where I summarize them, but they include things like finalizing the NFT and FT standards. There are existing standards that all the code is available. It just hasn't been finalized, where some of the variable names have to be coordinated between the two. Someone has to deploy an example NFT essentially, and also kind of do a tutorial on it. So a lot of the work has been done on several of these proposals. It's just a matter of bringing them over the finish line. So we're not asking you to start from scratch. And GitHub has a ton of information on this open source project, including the kernel, but also things like proposed standards for NFTs, fungible tokens.
We have the GitHub link. Sorry, go ahead, Joseph.
I don't think I included that in the.
No, I don't.
I'll get it right now. I got it.
But
I got it.
One of the resources I'm looking at right now, where if you are curious about tools for building, or even just updates on the project itself, is the Reddit wiki, which I did provide a link for, which is already under the channel. But Essential Links gives you a ton of information that you're most likely to take a look at, and Digital Asset Link goes to information on mining, staking, wallets, and exchanges. And this link for Build Open Apps brings you to a collection of links on developer community channels, the different GitHub standards. So right here's the NFT standard. This was an AON improvement process numbered 40. And this was by William Intrican, who actually was, I believe, one of the original authors of Ethereum's non-fungible token standard. One of the earlier versions. I don't know that it's the current version that most people are using, but
there's like 3 different versions.
He was one of the authors of one of the original Ethereum NFT standards, who has, built out a lot of code for an NFT standard for AON in Java, because AON does Java smart contracts. It's all here. It's just there's a couple things that need to get changed or updated or coordinated between this standard and the proposed fungible token standard. So you're not starting from scratch. He's done a lot of work on this. It's just a matter of getting it home to resolve those discrepancies in variable naming, and probably first
get it vetted and so on.
Yeah, someone's got to actually deploy this on the test network too, and kind of show your work and say, if you're interested in minting an NFT, I did it. Here's how I did it. Giving folks some reference material to look at. So again, we're not looking for people to start from scratch. Some of this is low-hanging fruit. So I encourage folks, if you are programming, scripting, development minded, to take a look at the proposals that have already been submitted. And if you've got skills, the time and the talent, submit a bid. We'll evaluate it, and if everything seems to be good, if it seems like you know what you're doing and how to do it, and you've got a plan to make it happen, we'll fund that. You're not doing it for free. You're not doing it for charity. We will give you AON to advance these things. That's kind of the long and the short of my spiel. I know I've been kind of jabbering on for a while and covered a lot of bases, but I'm glad to answer any questions anyone has on the nitty gritty of anything that we've talked about.
Yeah, for sure. So we have about 5-ish minutes left here on the stream. We can go a little longer if we need to, but normally it's about an hour. But we have 5 minutes left, so guys, any questions, please fire them down in the chat real fast so we can answer any of them. I do want to say thank you again for coming on and chit-chatting about this, because I've been part of the Aeon community for almost my entire mining career, I guess, as you could say.
You're an OG, bruh. You're an OG.
I'm an OG, as Yashnik says. I love it. It's been one of my favorite projects, and they've always provided everything for the community. They've definitely provided me with Aeon for doing a bunch of community projects. So that's, I can attest that the Aeon Community Bounty Program does work. Doing things does get you paid on there. No hard work goes unnoticed. That's for sure. I've been dabbling
mention
on that. So
I'll mention a couple things that have been funded by the Community Bounty Program. As we already mentioned, the prizes for the poker tournaments in large part have come through the Community Bounty Program. So that's a lot of fun. And this next coming year, we were doing it on a quarterly basis. We're talking about doing it on a semi-annual basis. So that'll be another.
The next poker tournament's going to be in April.
Correct.
And keep an eye out for more information on that. So, Aeon News feed on Twitter is perhaps the first place you can look to find updates and announcements on that. Just this past month, we helped to increase the staking capacities of several of the main pools that are supporting the network, staking pools, including Aeon Pool, Bot Boutique, and OAN Pool, which is Chimera Pool, and AAA Angus Pool, where they've made a commitment to continue supporting the network. So as a bounty, we've provided a certain amount of Aeon to help that goes to their self-stake, which gives them more room to accept delegations from other stakers,
right.
Meaning that there's more capacity. They have more of an ability to absorb stake from people and provide them with returns. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are staked to either foundation pools that aren't earning them any return, or they're staked to inactive pools. So it's really important that you take a look at who you're staked to make sure that, yes, they are still producing blocks and that you are still earning staking rewards. And if you're not, these pools have stepped up and agreed to commits for a 1-year period to continue staking and providing staking services, but also to increase their staking capacities by self-bonding more.
I just want to point out, instead of undelegating, like a normal person would think is the right thing to do, which would take 24 hours. Instead of undelegating, you just transfer, and it takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's quicker and it's cheaper. It's less transactions, so less transaction fees.
Let's get it real here. Like the transaction fees are very, very, very,
very small already.
No matter what.
But
it's just about wait time.
You can make them cheaper than.
So if you want to make more Aeon quicker, you just use the transfer.
Right. So I mean, that's something we funded. Aeon Watch itself is something that was funded through the Aeon Community Bounty Program initiative, where previously, in order to figure out what the total supply was, you had to do a little bit of math, take a look at the dashboard, figure out what the block number was, figure out this. It's all at a glance now
It
at
was
Aeon
all in a
Watch.
spreadsheet somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, you have to go back and forth.
I definitely have
It was in
a
good Excel
spreadsheet where I can plug that information in. But yeah,
Those
so
were the
I mean,
days.
there's already the community bounty program has already funded things that benefit the community, and we're glad to be able to still have this program running, and be able to fund more advancements, more ways to get people involved, more ways to advance the protocol itself.
And
And
I
the
agree.
project's an OG. It's an OG project. Aeon's been around since 2017.
Yeah.
It's not a new blockchain, guys. Like, it's been around. It got
Been around the block,
transitioned
too.
a couple of times, trying to do different things, but now it's community based, and so that's important to me.
And thriving
Yeah,
as community based.
we're just getting started here, so we already got a good foundation. We have support, lots of support. We just need people to get engaged.
Right. Heard that. I appreciate you, Yashnik, for coming on, as well as you, Joseph. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for coming on, and thank you for letting me be a part of the community, of the OG community, I guess. And it's been a pleasure, and it's always been fun. I love watching projects like this grow. I think it's fun to watch.
Well,
That's
thank
for
you,
sure.
Michael.
Yeah,
This won't be the only time. This won't be the first time.
No, for sure. For sure. Guys, make sure while you're here, hit the like button, subscribe button, bell notifications, so you do know times that we do go live, and we would greatly appreciate that. We are going live tomorrow for FA Fridays, and we'll be doing some Doge Lord coffee giveaway tomorrow. So
No.
be tuned for that. Yeah, it's gonna happen from the news store. The news store is being launched, so that's pretty exciting as well, guys. The most important part, all of these links that we've talked about today are down in the description currently. So the Aeon CPP, as well as the Aeon Watch, the staking wallet, and Dashboard Explorer, the combination one, the one you can look at your mining rewards and your staking rewards, is down there, as well as the dashboard, the wiki, the Twitter, Telegram, and the GitHub is down there as well. Now I have included that down in the description, so you can now view all the links that we have went over today down there. I thank you all. That's right, FA, guys. FA for sure. All the time. So I appreciate it, guys. And if you guys have any other questions, please put them down in the comment section below, or join in on the Telegrams as well as the Twitter, and you can comment. If you have any kind of questions, we would gladly love to answer them. So, without further ado, guys, any final words from either one of y'all?
No, it's just pouring snow right now.
Oh, jealous.
All I've got to say is, follow Aeon Network, Aeon Newsfeed on Twitter, because again, that's going to be where you're getting news and updates. And there's irons in the fire that we're working on, and as those come to fruition, they'll be announced. We don't make announcements for price changes, so it's really, as information comes in, we let you know. So that's the place to go for that.
Yeah, and
I'm looking forward to
about that from us as well. We usually cover most of the big major updates and events here on the channel, so look out for that as well.
Yeah, and looking forward to what we're doing here. It's we're starting out. It's been a while, but that's how it goes. It's a slow process. And then once things get into a good rhythm, you guys are going to see some good things coming out for sure. Looking
can't
forward
wait,
to
man.
it.
It's gonna be so much fun. Now, guys, you're all amazing. Thank you all for coming out. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Have fun, keep on mining, and staking. Thank you, the Open Application Network. Catch y'all
Cheers.
later.
Peace.
Peace.